You're the best.
You're way too nice. Way too nice.
Hello! How are we doing? Does anybody here have a master's degree in suffering and a bachelor's degree in pain like me, or is it just me? Okay. So that sounded really fancy, and it's like so epic and all this stuff, but the reality is much more boring, to be totally honest. So I have been married for 20 years to my high school sweetheart, Ashley, who's not here right now, unfortunately. She is disproportionately better looking than I am, and better in every category of life than I am. But our journey started actually in a trailer park in Michigan, where I'm from. And we had these humble beginnings, right? And so today we're going to talk about what's called success derivatives, which sounds really fancy, but it's not. Here's the thing. People try to get success. They try to get a thing, right? I read a book called Atomic Habits one time, and in Atomic Habits, the guy's like, the goal isn't to go to the gym. The goal is to sit in your car at 7 a.m. with your gym bag next to you. Right? Like if you're sitting in your car, you already got up, and you make that your goal. So how do you have a derivative goal, right? Does that make sense? Okay. So people try to get success. People try to get money, and it's a mistake, right? So we're going to cover some really cool stuff, but my first encouragement to you that helped me and changed my life, because we went bankrupt. I had cars repossessed. I had my basement flooded because I couldn't pay my electric bill, which is completely humiliating for anybody, but as the provider, right? My epic masculine providing self just completely failed so many times because I was trying to be successful, or I was trying to look as if I was successful, right? We need to start letting ourselves be successful. It doesn't have to be hard. There's so many false beliefs that I had, and I'm sure I'm not alone. Growing up with a non-entrepreneurial family that loved me and took care of me, but had so much baggage around money and success and all these things, it programs you the wrong way. And so I thought to get a good reward, I had to suffer. Anybody else feel like that? Say, I feel like that. Okay? You don't have to suffer. It doesn't have to be a nightmare for things to work. You don't have to try to be successful. You have to focus on success derivatives and start letting yourself be successful. So who's interested in getting everything you want out of life and business? Say, I am. Okay, cool. Me too. I want to get everything I can. I want to squeeze all the juice out of the orange before my little dirt suit, which is my body, goes back into the ground, right? Success is a derivative of other things. And these are going to seem obvious at first, but I'm a nerd. And if you give me permission to be a nerd, say, I give you permission, Josh? I give you permission. Okay. Because I like to study words and the meaning of words. It's called etymology, and like what the real meaning of things are. So here's 4 success derivatives. I'm going to go through them real quick. Then we're going to break them down slowly. The first one is confidence. Ooh, you've never heard that before, right? Your mind's exploding. The second one is consistency. Not a sexy word, but it is a thing that will unlock so much for you. The third one is clarity. And the fourth one, are you ready? Is community. Okay, so requirement number 1 is confidence, but we have to ask ourselves, what even is confidence, right? Confidence means to trust yourself. So if you break apart the word confidence, it means the root word is confide, right? Say yes? Okay, so confide, when you confide in someone, it means that you trust them. If you break down the word confide into C-O-N, and then F-I-D-E, so you have con, which means with, and fide means trust, with confidence, right? Even, you ever heard the word fidelity? That uses the F-I-D-E part, right? The trust part. Fidelity, high fidelity means high trust, right? You follow me so far? Say, I'm tracking. Okay, cool. So, but trusting yourself requires reps. It literally just does. Like, you have to be willing to be bad at stuff, so eventually you can be okay at stuff, so eventually you can actually have a chance to be good at stuff, and you start to build trust with yourself. The truth is, most people do not trust themselves. Another thing that people say is that you need confidence, and I don't say that. I think everybody in this room or anybody that watches this recording and everyone in the world is already fully confident. But you have the wrong type of confidence. For example, if you believe in your heart and you have certainty that you are not enough, or that you are ugly, or that you are not desirable or valuable, you have a high level of confidence with a really bad thing. Can I get an amen? Say yes. Okay. So people have that. When I do business consulting, we talk about systems. Work on your business, not in your business. And there's these catchphrases. And people say, I need systems. Will you help me get systems? And the truth is Every single company is already fully systemized. Every single family is already fully systemized. The way that you talk to yourself when you brush your tooth in the morning, the way that you feel when you look in a mirror is a system. The way that you get mad when someone cuts you off in traffic and your 4-year-old watches that happen and watches how you that's a system. It's a thing that you're already doing. So it's not, do you need systems? You already had them. You already got them. And it's not, do you need confidence? You need the right kind of confidence. You need positive, future-based, epic, world-changing type of confidence. And the only way to get it is by putting in the reps. I have a friend named Ray Higdon who's made a video every day for like 9 years. I think I mentioned that on the call that we had, didn't I? That's insane, right? But you gotta understand that when he did his first video and his second video and his 114th video and his 279th video, there was no guaranteed outcome of anything. And one of my favorite quotes is that everybody loves the wine, but no one sees the crushing of the grapes. If you didn't get goosebumps on that, let me say it one more time. Everybody sees the wine, is actually the right way to say it, but no one sees the crushing of the grapes. I've had my grapes crushed. Anybody else? Had your grapes crushed? Okay, they've been massively crushed in a very bad way. But the thing is that when he's doing these videos every day, no one was watching him at first, because why? He's just another guy. These people you look up to are just people. They're not that cool, I promise you. We're boring, but there's little differences, and one of them is confidence. The Norries walk with an abnormal level of certainty compared to a normal person. Say yes, right? Yes. Okay, but you have the ability to feel and walk like that too, but you gotta put in the reps. Trusting yourself requires keeping your word to yourself. The reason people don't have the right kind of confidence is because they're liars to themselves. They say, I'm gonna get up at this time and do this thing. Don't say you're gonna do it. Like, measure the words you speak to yourself. Be careful, because your subconscious mind knows that you're lying and that you're breaking fidelity with yourself. You're breaking confidence when you don't follow through in the thing. So follow through on what you commit to, but don't overcommit. Don't try to be everything to everybody. Don't overdo it and do Crazyville, okay? You know yourself. If you can do a video a week, then do it. And then when you muster the courage to commit to 2, then do 2. But don't get all worked up here and say, I'm doing video every day and I'm doing webinars and all this stuff. Because it's more important that you build the fidelity, the high fidelity, the trust of yourself is more important that happens than even having a good video in the long run, right? Because when you have this type of confidence, success can't not happen. It automatically happens, and it's effortless in a sense. Okay. So how would your bank account be affected if you had total and complete confidence? How would your bank account be affected? Think in your brain. Think of the number that's in your bank account. Okay, you're thinking of a number. Some of you want to throw up right now. And some of you are like freaking out. And no, ISIS didn't hack your Chase bank account. Like whatever number's in there is correct. There wasn't an error. You know, our bank account is what's called a lagging indicator in business, meaning like what it is or isn't is just it's an indication. It's like a picture, a photo of the things that we did or did not do 6 months ago. It's a lagging indicator. So when you start walking down the road of the things we're going to talk about, what'll happen is your bank account will catch up because it can't not catch up. Make sense? It's like a rubber band. This is why people, when they win the lottery, which we talked about in the call, they lose all their money, right? Because something's out of whack, right? But if you build confidence and start walking into these things and you level up who you are, it will catch up at some point. The goal isn't success, it's confidence. For part 1, okay? Just remember that. You're not trying to be successful or look like something to someone. You're trying in your own head, in your own world with your family, and you, yourself, and I are trying to build the right types of confidence. Okay, required number 2 is consistency. Consistency. But consistency requires belief. This is a mind bomb. You ready? Anybody want a mind bomb? Say, I do. Yeah, I do. Okay. So here's a cheesy picture of me from years ago. And it says good things are going to happen. The reason I put that on here is because it's not hard to be consistent when you're anticipating epicness, okay? It's not hard to be excited when you're 8 years old on Christmas Eve. Can I get an amen? It doesn't require willpower or effort to have energy just appear in your body when you have anticipation for something good that's going to happen. So what happens with consistency is we're trying to keep our word to ourselves, so our confidence goes up, and then we do it and we get in a fight with our spouse, and then someone scratches our car at the grocery store and leaves. Something happens, and then our belief gets rattled. I knew it. Nothing ever goes right for me. And so then your consistency breaks. And there's lots of reasons this happens, but I need you to understand that faith and doubt are both belief. So when I say consistency requires belief, what I'm saying is, just like everyone has confidence, but they have good confidence or bad confidence, belief, everybody has belief. Atheists are believers, okay? Everybody is a believer. Faith and doubt are just different sides of the same spectrum. The question is not, do you believe or do you not believe? That's the incorrect way to look at the question. The question is, how much do you believe, right? It's like a continuum, right? So if you believe that you are made on purpose for a purpose and you have a mission, mandate, purpose, and destiny for your life and you're a world changer and nobody can stop you because you're a job creator and a movement maker and you're epic, if you actually believe that in your heart for real, it's not that hard to be consistent. Can you see it? Say, I can see it. Okay. Think of anxiety. My friend Myron Golden has this insane teaching about this. And he categorizes, he describes anxiety as sitting in a parked car with your foot all the way on the accelerator. It's making all kinds of noise, but you ain't going anywhere, okay? Anybody been there? Is it just me? Okay, P.S., by the way, I have paralyzing anxiety many times. Recently, it's normal. I'm a human, right? We're a electrical chemical system. Things happen, right? But if your default or your general trend for your life is to constantly shrink back with the fight or flight and to believe that, it's never gonna work out. This always happens to me. Everything always falls apart right before it works. Oh, I knew I'd overdraft my account again. If you're living in anxiety, you obviously aren't gonna be successful, right? But the opposite of anxiety is not no anxiety. The opposite of anxiety is this anticipation idea, the kid before Christmas, right? It's a different thing. And here's the reason why they're so different. This is a mind bomb. Anxiety, what it does is it wastes present energy, okay? You literally burn calories, your palms get sweaty, you physiologically literally waste literal actual energy, even though you're not going anywhere, right? And the reason that happens is because you're focused on an undesirable future outcome. I call it a UFO, undesirable future outcome. If you think that tomorrow something bad is going to happen, or that it might happen, it burns energy now. If you think next month it's all going to fall apart, it wastes your energy now. How can you be consistent at anything if you feel like that? It's really hard. So Myron always says the game is not to do anything. The real game is feeling like doing something. The game is not to go do stuff. The game is to get yourself to feel like doing the stuff, because then it's effortless. Can you see that? So anticipation, it doesn't waste present energy on an undesirable future result. Anticipation creates present energy because of a desirable future outcome. Is this too deep or are we doing good? How are we doing, okay? Like, I am a nerd. Like, you are my people. Like, it is a joy for me to talk about this stuff because it's what matters. It's what changed my life. It's what's changed so many people's lives. So anyway, let's recap real briefly. You got to build your confidence, the fidelity, the trust you have in yourself. You do that through reps and all these things. And you have to have consistency, right? And the way to be consistent, just like the way to be successful isn't to try to be successful, the way to be consistent isn't really to just be consistent and pull yourself up by the bootstraps. That's what people like to tell you, so you feel like crap about yourself and you think they're cool and they have their polished Instagram fake book reel and they're good and you're bad. It's all bullcrap. The goal is to feel like showing up for yourself. And the way you do that, well, there's lots of ways to do that. We'll get into that. But how would your bank account be affected if you were consistent every single day for years? For years, okay? This isn't come to Dallas, give Angelique a hug, realize they're the most good-looking couple in the history of mankind, and it's not fair, because I am aware, okay? But the goal is when you go home and you don't feel the feelies, because I'm not here pumping you up, and Angelique's not here to guide you and hold your hand. The game is, how do you be consistent because you feel like showing up, because you're so excited to find your purpose, to start your mission, whatever it is. That's the game. But what if you did that every day for years? Tony Robbins says people overestimate, who knows the quote? We overestimate what? What we can accomplish in 1 year, and we underestimate what we can accomplish in 5 or 10 years. That's right. So expand your time horizon. There's entire companies like ClickFunnels. Russell Brunson, it didn't even exist a year ago. It's $1 billion company, or 10 years ago. It didn't exist 10 years. It's only 8 years old. You can do insane things fast. It just feels slow when you're doing it. I think, did we talk about bamboo on the call? Okay, so it's kind of like that. Like that's what's coming up in my head. So the goal isn't success, it's consistency, which is a success derivative, okay? So now you have confidence or you have a path and you're thinking about, okay, I got to trust myself. I have to honor the word to myself. I have to, okay, and I'm consistent. I'm doing things badly even, but I'm doing it on a regular cadence. Huge. Nobody does this. Nobody does it. Huge. Requirement number 3 is clarity. Who here would like some more clarity on what your purpose is on this planet? Okay, a few of you? Okay, so the thing is, when I'm coaching people, the first question I ask them is, what do you want? Why did you give me a bunch of money to help you? And then they can't answer me, right? Which is normal. People don't really know what they want. We're mostly in survival mode. But so they ask me, how do I know my purpose, right? I'm gonna tell you. Clarity requires you to make decisions, okay? The really ironic part about all this stuff is how counterintuitive it is, meaning the way to find your purpose is by starting to do your purpose, but it seems like a chicken and the egg thing. You have to do stuff to discover what your stuff should be. You can't sit and think and the purpose will pop into your lap. It doesn't happen that way. It's when you're on the mission trip and you're doing the weird thing and you travel to Dallas, even though you can't afford to, even though all the resistance, and God, I know how it is when you go on trips like this. It's like your tire goes flat and your kid throws up and then your husband's mad or your wife's mad. Like there's so much resistance and then you're finally here. But there could be a conversation you have in the kitchen or somewhere that changes the literal entire trajectory of everything for you. But because you're in motion doing hard, weird, scary things, because you're doing it, that's where you find the clues. Anyway, you have permission to move about the cabin. What that means is you can just do stuff. I told Angelique back there, I'm like, you just made up a thing and now people are here. What is this? You know, you invented it. She made it up. Right? She invented it, and you're just like, I'm going to the thing, but you're not looking at it like that. She literally just made it up, and now you flew here. What in the heck? You can do that. You can do stuff. Everything in the world is the way that it is because someone just decided to do a bunch of stuff. Like, who decided that the dashed line means you can pass, and the solid line means that you can't? Someone just did it, and we're all like, and we just comply with it, right? Stop signs are an octagon. Okay, I'm cool with it, but like, where's the origin story of that? Everything, the lights, everything on the internet, the way things work were just made up by somebody. And the mistake is thinking that the people you look up to have something you don't have. The only thing they have that you don't have are the 4 things we're talking about right here. Because I can promise you one thing. Angelique and David have confidence, but they don't have arrogance. And to the untrained eye, those seem like second cousins. They seem similar. They're fundamentally different, but they look similar, right? But they have confidence, they have consistency. This isn't her first rodeo, right? She didn't just like make this up and get you to, she's been in the game for a long time. She's spoken stages like 15,000 people and done all this crazy stuff. But that happens gradually, right? It happens gradually. So, but you have permission to do stuff. Just give yourself permission to do the stuff, okay? You find your purpose by doing hard things. You literally find it as you're doing it because you'll find clues. You ever get goosebumps when you're like coaching someone? You say a thing like, ooh, that was good. Did I just say that come out of my mouth? That's a clue, okay? That's your soul saying, that's a thing. That's a thing for you, right? Or you're a shoulder to cry on. Or when you're doing something athletic, it can be anything from anywhere. It could be music. It could be anything. It could be writing copy. It doesn't matter, but there's a thing where you get into flow state, even for a minute, where you're like, whew, this is something. I got to dig here. I got to find out everything that's in here. That's a clue on how to find your purpose. Now that can't happen if you're not out doing stuff and talking to people, right? What a famous pianist, I think that's a really funny word, personally. That's why I put it on the slide, actually. I could have used athlete, I could have used a lot of things. I went back and actually deleted and then put in pianist. But would he know his purpose, okay, before he started playing? Is it really possible that someone would be like, when they're 7, they're like, I'm going to be a stage speaker that transforms the lives of millions of entrepreneur wives? That's what my wife's purpose is. That's impossible. She wasn't even thinking that thought because she didn't go do the stuff, right? By exploring and doing hard things, you start to see the clues and get the spidey goosey thing, and then you pull it out and you dig it deeper and you do harder things and you narrow your focus. And now you're mining for gold, right? And the thing is you have to play the piano to realize I'm really good at this. And most people's purpose is inextricably linked with something they're good at. Now, you don't have to be the best at it day one, but the person that becomes a world famous pianist is probably pretty good. Like for me, I took piano lessons, and even as a kid, I could see my teacher like rolling his eyes, like, why are we doing this, kid? Like, but let's set both of ourselves free. This isn't your thing, right? And then I want to talk about trying versus deciding. So if you do decide to do some stuff, to like come in here, but then when you go home, you got to do more stuff. Don't try stuff. Do stuff. People say, hey, I'm going to try out this thing. That's a trigger word for me as a business coach who's worked with over 1,000 people one-to-one. Trying is a red flag. It's a word that, like, start catching yourself. Try not to say that word. Instead, decide stuff. Decide stuff. Don't try stuff. Decide stuff. Decide means to cut. I think Angelique just talked about this. So if we do a little more word study, etymology stuff, CIDE is a suffix of the word decide. CIDE is also used in homicide, herbicide, pesticide, suicide, right? It means to kill or to cut. A real decision is when you cut off other options, right? Can you see the difference between I'm going to try posting videos online versus I'm going to do a video every day for a year? Those aren't the same thing, are they? Not at all. They're completely different. You have to burn the boats, literally. Not with everything. Everything in your life doesn't have to be this dramatic. When it comes to your career path and your business and your bank account, because let's be really clear, money is insanely important, and everybody pretends like it's not. Christian entrepreneurs are the worst to deal with this because they want to pretend like it doesn't matter, and then they spend 10 hours a day running around trying to get it. Well, money's not everything, Josh. Well, why do you got to let me go? Well, I'm pulling into work. Well, why are you going to work? Well, I mean, so it's this cognitive dissonance, right? Zig Ziglar said that money isn't everything, but it's similar to air. When you don't have enough of it, it's the only thing you can think about. It's kind of hard to think of other things when you're drowning, right? So let's not pretend that that's not a thing. So when you're making decisions regarding that, you got to make real decisions. You don't try stuff. You don't be a dabbler. You really do it. And clarity, because we're still on clarity, it comes from trying stuff, making real decisions, cutting off other options. You get clear. You can see it because you start to do it. But it comes from conquering stuff. Like when you get a win, it gets more clear. You're not allowed to have clarity if you're sitting in a static space, okay? Like you're not allowed, you don't deserve to have clarity if you're not doing things. So if you think I'm gonna be this impactful person, then go do a crappy, imperfect version of that tomorrow, like right now, and do it bad 40 times, and then you'll do it good, and it will get more clear. Clarity is almost like some sort of, it has to be unlocked. I don't know, it's like hidden. People can't see it because they're not trying to see it. But it comes from conquering stuff. So the guy that practices the piano, and then he does his first performance, and there's 6 people there, and his grandma cries, okay? He's so good relative to his age, right? Not world famous, but still a kid. He has clarity like, oh, shiitake. This is a thing for me, right? I conquered a thing. And you can only do it by putting yourself out there. The goal is not success, it's clarity. So we have confidence, right? Then we have consistency. Then we have clarity. Requirement number 4 is community. Community requires humility. Now, luckily, like that's what this is community, right? But all communities are not the same. Everybody already has a community. The question is, are you going to perform surgery on the people you allow to speak into your life when you go home? Because we all have crazy Uncle Larry, okay, who gives like business advice to me that I did not ask for at Thanksgiving, and he is so sure that he's a genius, right? And I'm like, wow, that's a great point. Totally should do that. Yeah, I should definitely get into the ant farm business. Yeah, it's really good, Yeah, I should totally stop what I'm doing, of which you've asked no questions about, so you don't even know what it is, and do these 13 things you just said, Uncle Larry, totally. But it's one thing to have relationships with normies, which normies is our loving colloquial term for everybody that doesn't get this stuff. Most the people that don't fly to Dallas because Angelique invented something and you just do it. We love these people. It's just they're not the same as you see, these types of events, they act as a natural filter, and it's a filtering process because de facto, everybody in here is de facto different in a good way. in a way that helps each of you, even though you have quirks, you might drive each other crazy. That doesn't matter though. There's a piece of you that is similar and you need each other. And you got to curate your community like you would tend to a garden. You have to be intentional about who you allow into your life. My wife and I have a very, very, very small circle. I have lots of people that know me and that I know, but there's very few people that see every crack in the armor that we would really open up to, right? Because it's risky. And there's also time commitments, right? But if you're going to have real community, you have to have humility. You cannot be the know-it-all person. In fact, your goal, my goal, is to always be the dumbest person in the room. If I authentically feel like I'm the smartest person in the room, I immediately start my search for a new room, okay? Because you can't grow unless you humble yourself. And even though I'm up here running my mouth right now, when I go to events as an attendee, because I do all the time, I keep my mouth shut and I take 5 pages more notes than everybody else, typically, because that's how you learn. But community also requires boldness, which you've demonstrated by being here, but you need more of it. You have to be bold more times than just this one. And specifically with community, boldness in general is good, but with the community, it means you have to make friends. You have to network in. You have to get people to know you. Don't you want to be able to go to an event and they're like, David, what's up, man? And then all these people are like, how did you know him? Well, it's because you were bold and you put in work 18 months before and you sent someone a letter, you sent someone a gift and you networked in. You made, you have to do work to build relationships, right? It takes time. It requires boldness. My wife says the best way to make friends is to be friendly. I know, it's not that hard, right? Most people aren't though, because they're trying to serve themselves. Community requires sacrifice. So another mind hack, success hack, is if you want not only to level up your community, but be known as the baller, the well of value in your community, it's all about everybody else and not about you. So in traditional small business, they do these things called B&I groups. You ever heard of a B&I group? Business networking. It says it's super boring. You go at 7 a.m. and there's bagels and the insurance agent and the realtor and the auto mechanic is there. Everyone's half asleep. And they get up and they do a spiel for like 2 minutes and it's like, give me referrals. Here's the thing. People say, does B&I work? Should I join B&I? I'm like, B&I doesn't work if you don't work, right? So it's about how you show up. If you show up for one of these groups with a long time horizon and you say, I'm going to give my face off until it hurts with no expectation of anything good happening to me, and I'm not going to stop for 3 years. You literally can't fail doing that. So if you're the one person in B&I, really understanding all these other people's businesses, you're making connections, you're doing phone calls, you're following up, you're getting them referrals, you need to connect with this guy. If you're that person, you are going to win 10x compared to anybody else without even ever asking people to help you because you are spilling value all over the room, right? That's how to do community, is you sacrifice the front end in exchange for the back end. Amateurs focus on the front end, professionals focus on the back end. How good is that? Say, that's good. That's good. Okay, the goal isn't success, it's a community. So let's recap. Success automatically and eventually comes if you possess confidence, consistency, clarity, and community. Now, let's try to poke holes in this. Is this true? Do you believe this is true? If you had an abnormally high level of confidence compared to what you've had in the past, and you were abnormally consistent for an extended time horizon, and you got clarity because you did hard things and because you put yourself out there and you found the clues with the goose spider or the goosebumps, you got clarity and then you up-leveled your community and became a sacrificial giver who spilled value on people. Okay. Can you see, just like the rubber band, how it's not possible for good things to not happen to you? Do you see it? Say, I see it. It's literally not. Here's the thing. Real professionals never forget the fundamentals. With internet marketing and online business and all this stuff, the way that marketers get you is with the new shiny thing. In fact, in marketing, it's called a unique mechanism. I could teach all of you how to create a unique mechanism to hook people so they talk to you and buy your stuff. Because what people think they need is a unique mechanism. The new secret way to lose 7 pounds in 7 days without changing your diet, okay? That's a hook. It's a unique So the real reality of weight loss, which I've struggled with my whole life, is eat less, move more. Every single program that exists is that. There's different ways they get you to eat less, but you think that it's more. And there's different ways they get you to move, but it doesn't feel like working out because it's Zumba. It's not working out, I'm dancing, right? It's all the same thing, but the real professionals know that confidence, consistency, clarity, community is the superpower. That literally is the thing. If you strip away it all, that's what it is. Any football fans in here? Vince Lombardi, famous football coach, Green Bay Packers, like world famous guy. You know, he would always hold a football on the first day of practice when he'd walk into the locker room and say, gentlemen, this is a football. Why did he do that? Him saying that is the equivalent of this presentation right now. This is your football, okay? This is the game. So, would your life change forever if you mastered these simple items? Yes! Here, let me do that again. I'm the one that messed it up. Whose life would change forever if you mastered these simple items? Say, mine would. Mine would. There we go. That was way better. Here's the last question. The last question as I get ready to land the plane is, how do you learn these things? It's all high level. You're like, but confidence, like I get it, I sort of get it, but like then it's going to be Tuesday, and I'm like, what do I do? And you hit snooze, and then your kid cries, and they throw up in your car. My wife has a minivan. She calls it a French fry museum, right? But so in the middle of that normal life, how do you actually learn? I'm going to tell you how. Okay, you ready? First of all, hearing is not learning. Okay? Anybody recognize that listening is not the same thing as hearing? Okay? We have a rule, a family system in our house that whoever is the deliverer of the information, it's their responsibility to make sure that it was received. Because what will happen is, I said this, you heard that, right? My wife says, Maverick, I told you to take out the garbage. Yeah, I told Tucker to. You didn't tell me to take out the garbage. Yes, I did. No, I didn't. The thing is, they're both right. He said it, words came out of his mouth, but communication did not occur, right? Another good quote is that the biggest illusion of communication is that it did not occur, or that it has occurred. I'm sorry. The biggest illusion of communication is that it has occurred in the first place. There's a book called I Said This, You Heard That. So here's the rule. If Maverick currently has the baton of garbage taker outer, there is no one else responsible for that except for him. So if Tucker doesn't do it, it's 100% Maverick's deal. So he has to make sure. He's like, Tucker, here's the deal. Look, no, hey, look it, right here. Got it? Okay. You're taking out the trash. And you're going to do it either in 5 minutes or you're going to do it in 7 minutes. Either one works with me. And then as soon as you do it, you're going to text me that it's done. Got it? Got it? Okay, perfect. That's communication, right? And then Tucker does it, and then Maverick's safe. But hearing isn't learning. Even sitting in this room right now is not really learning. It's a facade of learning. It's a version of learning, but it's not real, true learning. Real learning comes from one methodology, which I'll get to in a second, but let me tell you the 4 different types of learning. Oh, real learning is a contact sport too. You got to do hard things. Here's the 4 types of learning. And the reason I put a picture of a burning hot stove, that's what that is, by the way, because my wife was like, what is that? Is that a jellyfish? I'm like, it's a stove. It's clearly a stove. Is that, can we all agree that like knowing the stove is hot is not the same thing as having had previously touched said hot stove? Those are different levels of understanding, right? Say yes? Yes. Okay, so that's kind of how this works with everything, right? There's learning of something. There's learning of something. Today, you've learned of some ideas, okay? You've learned of the concept that I need more confidence, consistency, clarity, and community. Cool, you've learned of something. It's peripheral. Pretend this speaker right here is me learning of something. I'm like off the stage, and I've learned of it. I know it exists, okay? I'm like aware of its existence. For me, I learned of her existence in high school, okay? I learned of her existence in high school. Look at her. Can you believe that? I think she's got a seeing problem or something, but she's way hotter. Anyway, so I saw her because I have a football coach who is an inappropriate, dirty old man. And he said, that girl is something. You should go talk to her. And I was like, you are right. And I immediately went and talked to her, right? So I learned of Ashley from him, but I didn't know her. Okay, you're learning of confidence. You don't know it yet, okay? You don't know it the same way. Okay, then you learn about. So once she was like in my brain as a thing, then I learn about her. And I obsessively like study the internet. And I'm like, who is she? What's her favorite color? Where does she live? Oh my God, blah, 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 right? Is her family weird? It doesn't matter if it's weird. I'll deal with it. I'll take one for the team. Like, I'm like furiously learning about, and learning about is like walking around the speaker, okay? So you could leave here and you could go to your hotel room tonight and you could like go on YouTube and say how to be more confident, how to do this, how to do that, and that's good. It's not bad, it's good, but it's still not real learning, okay? Then you can learn from. This is another higher level order of learning. You can learn from someone, like I could talk to Ashley's best friends, okay? I would get a lot more information than I would have, well, there was no Facebook back in the 1990s, so I couldn't really go on the computer to stalk her. But you can learn from the noise, and that is a huge shortcut. It can collapse time from you. But that's still not the highest form of learning, right? This is the deal. You have to do the stuff. To be confident, to trust yourself, unfortunately, if I can be honest with you and take off my hype hat, you have to actually honor your word to your actual self tons of times, and it will shift because it can't not shift. It's impossible. It's like math, okay? If you honor the word to yourself, you will become more confident. If you are scared to speak and you do it a bunch of times, okay, because of your consistency, and you put in the reps, you will get better. I'll tell you a true story about speaking, okay? I'm an introvert, and I like speaking now, but in 2015, I had sold a company and we moved to Costa Rica. And I told my wife at that time, because I was launching a software business, I said, I'm going to say yes to every public speaking opportunity I get for 2 years. And I said that because I literally almost threw up every single time I would do this, physically, for real. I didn't. I wish I would have because it'd be a better story, but I never did throw up. But I said yes for 2 years. I went to tiny events. I flew all over the country, all over the place, little weird industry things. Little tiny ones, bigger ones, and I just kept saying yes, 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 yes. So for me to prepare for this, like I built this slide deck in 1 hour yesterday, right? I didn't even review it until 10 minutes before, and now we're doing it, right? But I have a lot of reps, and I've done it, and I am confident in myself. I'm not arrogant. I'm not self-aggrandizing to myself. I am very painfully aware of my inadequacies and shortcomings, but I'm not scared to talk about this because I have mastery over the subject matter because I put in the work. Make sense? You have to do it. Okay. You have to do hard things. This is our little logo. I had my designer make my family, and we wear it on t-shirts. And it's like our mantra. And it's not to be a hardologist and make everything hard. That is not the goal. The goal, though, is to not shy away from things because they're hard. That should not be the reason you don't do it, if it makes sense for you. Everything you want is just on the other side of a few hard things. Thank you, New York, and good night. Thank you.